Hi, and welcome to And So Much More. My name is Cami Smith, and I am here with Dr. Hugh Gill, and a neurosurgeon here at Centra. But also, we have one of his patients, Tina Tucker, and she wants to share her story. And that's one of my favorite things that we get to do here on And So Much More is hear what is happening behind the closed walls of all these beautiful facilities we have. Because at the heart of what we do is our patients and the lives that you guys get to lead because of what is happening between these provider and patient relationships. So, Tina, you just went through a bariatric surgery. How long ago?
It was about 2 years ago.
Okay, so 2 years ago, and I don't want to steal any of your thunder because I'm so excited to hear your experience. Dr. Gill, why don't you tell us what was the very early conversations in this decision to move forward with bariatric surgery?
So we first met, about 3.5 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah, it was about that long. And it was an uncomfortable conversation.
It was. But
Came
honest.
came in, had a lot of back pain problems, and one of the most significant things was your weight.
Yes.
And this is not an uncommon conversation I have to have with patients to explain to them how much it's actually impacting not just their back, but also their overall health.
Yeah.
And you listened,
I did.
right?
And you
And
listened to me. I had gone to other doctors and I, talked about the pain. And I remember one in particular, I was asked to step on my tippy toes, and I did. And he's like, oh, lose weight, and walked out. So for somebody to sit there and literally have a conversation with me and look me in the eye and say, this is not going to get better unless you do this, was awesome to me because,
Wow.
he listened. Anybody can hear you, but to
Yeah.
listen is so important. I'm not going to let this man down because he listened, and
Yeah.
that meant the world to me
I love
because I
that.
had not been listened to. So to have a doctor look me in the eye, be honest, yes, it was hurtful to hear, but I knew what to do. And he pointed me in the right direction, which was great because it's not like he just dropped that information on me and was like, you go to it.
Mm-hmm.
He led me to where I needed to be.
Yeah.
So to me, it was the biggest thing. I'm not going to let him think for 1 minute that he wasted his time on me. That was the biggest thing for me.
I appreciate that.
I love
It's
that
true.
so much. Well, and it's
True.
so important. I think what you said was it's a difficult conversation you have to have. But it sounds like even though someone else chose to say that to you, they didn't choose to have the conversation. So it wasn't even choosing to say what needed to be said because other doctors had done that. It was taking the time to do it well. That's incredible. And I think there's probably a lot of people really frustrated out there experiencing a lot of pain and a lot of discomfort because of weight. And people either avoid the conversation because it's uncomfortable or they don't earn the right to speak into their story in the way that you did. And
It
so,
takes time.
yes, it's so powerful.
I mean, you can sit there and you can buy as much Slim Fast and you know
Yeah.
what I mean, and pop as many pills and do
Yeah.
2 pills a day and then eat supper. But I had tried all that; it didn't work. And for you to sit there and take that time, not only to have that conversation that was so sensitive, but to say, okay, and this is the next step, and this is where you go, and to point me down that road.
Yeah. So, and like I said, you're not the only patient I've had conversations with, and so I try to tell them, I'm not trying to pick on you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you what you need to hear, and it's hard to hear it. I mean, we
Yeah.
talked about the metabolic issues you were having at the time, the back
Yes.
issues that you were having at the time.
Yes.
I believe I told you that it wasn't going to get better. Your back was just going to get worse unless you get the weight off your back.
Yep.
Mm.
And after everything you've been through, you don't have high blood pressure anymore,
No.
right?
My kidneys are not bad or acting up.
Don't have diabetes anymore.
No.
Don't
No.
have high cholesterol anymore.
Not at all.
Back pain got significantly better, and the only thing we were left with was the surgery that had to do which was where the lumbar spine meets the pelvis.
Mm-hmm.
That's where most people have pain, but sometimes what's actually going on is the back of the pelvis because the pelvis is made up of 3 bones,
Yeah.
and it's that junction between the middle bone that acts like a keystone
Okay.
and the bones that are on the side that are called the iliac. So that's the sacrum and the iliac on the other side, so the sacroiliac joint.
Wow.
And it's that joint that was arthritic and causing you all this pain. And
Yes.
it was really from years of carrying around all that extra weight
Wow.
that had irritated that joint and now had arthritis in it. And ultimately, that's what we ended up fixing for you.
He was not yet trained to do the operation with the arms, the robotic arms. And he's like, but I can, refer you to somebody in Greensboro. And I was like, no, I'm waiting. I wait for you to do the training, and then you can do the operation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was important to me.
Yeah.
He had led me to so many good things. You did that for me. I'm waiting for you. You're stuck with me. You're going to do this, and
Happy
you're,
to be.
yeah, it was like, this man right from the beginning has been honest and kind. And no, I'm waiting. I'm not going to Greensboro. I will wait. And sure enough, he did his training, and I got my dates, and boom, we went in and we did it.
This surgery has been around since early 2000s, at least, if not before then.
Okay.
And the data was just not supportive of it. It had about a 50-50 success rate for most of the papers that were published. That's one of the reasons why I didn't know how to do it. I hadn't trained in it. The people that trained me had not trained in it because it wasn't a good surgery yet.
Yeah.
Then a series of papers came out that really pointed to how do you select the right patient to make sure you're doing the right thing for the right patient.
Oh, I see.
And so as that literature developed, then I started paying more attention to it. And that's why we talked about it.
Yes.
And I said that I intend to actually get trained in it. So it was a training course I had to go through. And
Yeah.
it's just another surgical technique. It's not beyond what I was already doing.
Yeah.
It's just applied to a different area of
Yeah.
the body.
Another tool that you have now.
Right.
That is.
And so, yeah, you were one of our first patients.
And I rocked it.
And look at the success.
rocked it.
I love it.
And since then, you haven't had any low back pain?
I haven't had any back pain, and I just, even my son, who's 30, has a hard time keeping up with me. He's like, Mom. And I'm like, let's go, let's do this. I really, it's such an improved quality of life. The same way with the bariatric surgery. Every staff that I have met in Centra, I have not had any bad experience. And when you meet somebody and they literally take their time, you just don't want them to feel like they wasted their time. That was the biggest thing to me. I don't want them ever to look back and go, why did I sit in that room for 45 minutes talking to this woman? I want them to say, yes, she got it. I don't care if I'm 1 in 100 or 1 in 2.
Yeah.
I got it, and this is what happens, when you get it. And if you're not getting your needs met and you feel like you're not being listened to, don't stop trying to find that doctor that will listen. That is the most important thing that you need, because without him listening to me, and honestly, me being open and listening to him, I would not be where I am today. I mean, I could probably see myself on dialysis. My kidneys were really, really bad at that point. So to be able to sit here and be 50 and completely healthy, no problems at all, I'd do it all over again.
Oh.
So the conversation was just the first step.
Yeah.
And the last step was doing the fusion on your pelvis.
Yes.
Wow.
So, in between there, you have the entire bariatric team that was working with her to...
Definitely.
Okay. Who did you work with over in bariatrics?
Dr. Alley.
Dr.
And
Alley.
he is amazing.
Yes.
At my
He is
heaviest,
wonderful.
I was 512 pounds. I
Wow.
was big. I could only order my clothes online. It's embarrassing. You go to a store, you can't find your size, and you are part of that problem. You know what you eat. You got to be definitely true to yourself, and you got to understand, okay, this is not right. It's not working. You can't go and keep doing what you're doing and expect a change. It's just not going to work.
So tell me about your mindset when you had that conversation with Dr. Gill, and you knew you were stepping into like the bariatric environment. This was something you were going to pursue. What was your mindset like? Because it sounds like you knew there was an issue. Did you know how to move forward? Did you have an idea?
He told me about the bariatric surgery, and he pointed to Dr. Alley.
Okay.
And that's when I started my appointments with Dr. Alley, and he went through, and I think the first appointment with him was probably the most uncomfortable, because that's where you really get into the meat of why you're big. What is your diet?
Yeah.
What are you consuming? And that, not only does it open your eyes, but you walk away going, but you learn. And, you really have to train your brain all over again. What's good? What's bad? Don't do that. Don't do this, And I did, and it was amazing. And I was a smoker, which did not help, and you're overweight and you're huffing and puffing. And he was like, you need to stop smoking. And I quit smoking. Cold turkey. Done.
Goodness.
I just feel like if you got to do it, you got to go through it to do it. So just set yourself up and go. I mean, the sky's the limit when you set your mind to it. It was important. I mean, I got children, and I wanted to see grandbabies, and I wanted to be healthy. I mean, nobody likes being overweight and struggling in pain, and you get looked at. And, you know, I mean, I remember going through store shopping and I could not stop sweating because I was that big. And, you know, you got your washcloth and you're wiping and you're wiping. Now I just go through the store and I'm like, look, I'm normal. You know, you just get that feeling that you just, everything's good. Oh, it was nothing.
That's a lot. That's a lot of willpower to do. I can't tell you the number of patients that I tell them they need to stop smoking and they can't do it. I have a couple of patients that have flat out told me they will never quit smoking. They don't care how many surgeries they end up having because their spine's falling apart.
Wow.
Oh,
They don't care if they get lung cancer. The cigarettes are actually more important to them.
There's a willingness that has to be there on both sides of this relationship, because that's what's sticking out to me the most about this is the trust that's formed between patient and provider to listen, to hear him and receive that, but then also to move forward with his recommendation and to start the process with Dr. Alley. And then even there with Dr. Alley to say yes to stop smoking and to be willing to take the steps to do that. And how long from conversation with Dr. Gill did you have your surgery? It's a 1 year prep?
It's about a 1 year prep because you do have to go through counseling as far as the nutrition values, and you know, you're learning what to eat, you know, what's healthy for you and what to not do. So they slowly, gradually get you into a diet where you are starting to lose that weight. And you do have to lose weight before you do have that bypass. If you step on that scale and you are not a certain weight down, you're not going to get that surgery. And with Dr. Alley, he also took my blood. If there was nicotine in my blood, I was not going to get that surgery. It was a no-brainer. Okay, well, this is what's doing it, and this is part of what's killing me. Psst, done. It went out the window. And I can remember even meeting you for the first time. It's like you take a shower, you get dressed, you're ready to meet a doctor, you smoke a cigarette, and you're like, I'm good. And I remember thinking, I'm going to look nice, I'm going to smell nice. And now I smell that smoke, and I'm like, oh, I really thought. I walked right in there going, hey, how you doing, doc? Ugh. I can't stand it now, so
Well, they say hindsight, you know, is 2020. And
is.
so I think when you step out of a situation where there's multiple factors that are so negative for you, and I mean, that must be amazing for you to look back and see where you are and how far you've come just because you keep saying yes. You're so willing to say yes. That's
you have to.
incredible.
You have to. I mean, when your back is against the wall and you're given all these opportunities and you do not feel like facing it, you got to get out of that corner, and you just got to start fighting back, because if you don't start fighting back, you're going to stay in that corner.
Yes.
And that corner, it will kill you. So go. Get out and fight and do what you're supposed to.
So how long was it between when we made the referral for you to go see Allie that you actually got to see Allie? Because the other person that's in the same practice is Dr. Jones, who's a nutritionist. So I know you started with Jones at some point.
I did. I probably saw Dr. Alley probably not even, I'm going to say a month after your referral. It's so cool. I love it. It's like seeing old friends now. It's not even an appointment anymore.
I think it's anywhere from a 6 to 9 month wait before you can get in.
Wow.
It's that much in demand. So, but part of that is success stories like what you've experienced.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
for me, I think that would be frustrating because you know you're ready to do that, but you got to wait. You know that itself is very frustrating. But you got to keep on that road, and you got to know, okay, eventually it's gonna come. It's gonna come. You're ready for it. You just got to wait and hang in there because it will happen.
Yeah.
And I'm not an expert on the weight loss surgery. I don't pretend to be, but I do know some of the things. So it was one of those things when the surgeries first came out, they thought they could fix it just with the surgery, but it doesn't work that way. You actually have to do a multidisciplinary approach. You have to have counseling. You have to have nutritional counseling. There's a lot of other components that go into it that wasn't there in the first stages of doing this kind of surgery.
Yeah.
So there are people that are out there that have had gastric bypass, but they've grown back to the size that they were before.
Because the support wasn't in place.
And the habit changing wasn't in place.
Exactly. I mean, because you do learn a whole new diet. I mean, it's a new regimen that you have to learn, but you have to stick to it. Your health, your success, the pain that goes into these surgeries, you want it validated, and you need to follow through to have that validated.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to go through all of that and then turn around and start right back. Who does that?
Yeah.
You can't.
Oh,
You can't.
I can't imagine. Well, and I think about this from like a broad perspective for some of our listeners who Like maybe bariatric surgery is not their next step, or the joint fusion is not their next step, but listening to your provider who is trying to work you toward life and healing. And you think about being willing to say yes. For you, it was bariatric surgery and that joint fusion. But maybe for some, it's nutrition counseling. It's understanding what does your body need. So maybe taking care of yourself so that underlining problems, treat the root cause. Like, let's get to the root cause. Yeah. And so it's just very encouraging to see this patient and provider relationship work out. Like, this is what it looks like. This is what is so successful and so awesome to see. Yeah, it's encouraging.
He's my friend. I don't see him as a doctor anymore. I mean, he's one of my best friends, honestly, because he cared. He listened. Yeah. Not many people do that. I mean, when you get somebody that's overweight and they come see you, it would be so easy to just turn it over and just say, gotta lose the weight. But I mean, he really literally took the time. Yeah. And he pointed me in the right direction. He gave me the referral. And it changed everything. It changed everything.
Glad to help.
Oh, thank you guys so much for just even letting us be a part of sharing your story, hearing your story. And so thank you everyone who did listen in today. And there's so much information on our website about, bariatric surgery and weight loss. You can check out our providers. You can see Dr. Gill's profile on our website. And even some reviews there that can help you get to know the providers before you step into that relationship, which I think is important too.
Definitely.
And then just be open to what can be so completely helpful and beneficial for your health. So I hope you guys will join us next time on And So Much More.